So the 5th of November and I get to talk. I thought I'd do something maybe about this bonfire night. Might do something that's relevant. So I think I'll do a story about the gentleman who just didn't like authority. He didn't like what the establishment was doing. So he took a personal endeavour to take out authority. Now, some people think I might be talking about Guy Fawkes, but no. Anyway, we'll move on. What today is all going to be about is scars. We've all got them, we're all human, we've got scars. Now, as I was looking at this, we always go to the definition first off. So I'm going to read out some definitions of scars. Number 1, a mark left by a healed wound, sore or burn. Number 2, an after effect of trouble, especially a psychological injury resulting from suffering or trauma. Number 3, any blemish remaining as a trace or resulting from injury or use. Number 4, this is used in botany, a mark indicating a former point of attachment as where a leaf has fallen from a stem. Now as I read that, I thought, hang on a minute, we had a sermon not so long ago about the vine, didn't we? And it was John 15. I am the true vine and my Father is the gardener. He cuts off every branch in me that bears no fruit, while every branch that does bear fruit he prunes so that it would be even more fruitful. So the process of us through our journey, the stuff that's not needed, the stuff that's no good for us, that is naturally going to produce a scar. That's naturally going to produce a scar. So I was looking at scars and it's like, okay, so what actually is a scar? And what's the difference, and where scars come from? So the definitions I read out earlier, they're very distinctive. Yeah, there's a very valid distinction. I'm going to read them out again. A scar is left by a healed wound. It's an after effect of trouble. It's a blemish remaining as a trace. It's a mark indicating a former point of attachment. It's all in the past. It's an incident that's left a mark. It's fully healed, and you've gained perspective of the incident, of what's gone on. It's in the past. So there's a huge difference between a wound and a scar. A huge difference. A wound is something that's raw. It's fresh. Constantly fresh. It can start to heal, but any knock, it can reopen it, and you're back to square one. It's always immediate, it's always now. A scar is a remnant of an incident that's happened in the past. It's a marker that you've passed through that incident, come out the other side, and learned something from it. A lovely sentence just popped into my head. A wound incapacitates, a scar educates. Wow. Yeah, a wound will hold you still. It keeps you here, transfixed, not moving forward through fear. A scar is a badge of honour. Yeah, it is a mark saying, I've gone through it. I'm out the other side. This is what I've learned. It's an amazing distinction. John 16:33, it says, I have told you these things so that in me you may have peace. In this world you will have trouble, but take heart, I have overcome the world. There is going to be issues that you're going to go through. We've talked a lot recently about our wilderness experience, where we go through some hardship that moulds us, that forms us, that strengthens us, the brutal truth is that the only way to get a scar is to get the wound in the first place. We have to go through the hard times. The hard times, they're not pleasant, but the hard times are going to make you what you are. The hard times are going to give you that scar, give you that testimony, give you that badge of honour that you can then use to then help others who are going through their wilderness experience. Funny story, I've got a forehead scar just here. It's quite small now, but when I did it, it was huge. No, it's not from your phone, darling. Yes, thank you very much. So, yeah, I've got a small scar here, and I want to tell you how I got it. I lived with my parents in a property in Goodmays. It was like a downstairs flat, and there was an upstairs. And there was my father, mum, myself. And then my sister came along, so we needed to move property, and we needed a bigger property. So we moved 5 streets down, actually. So it wasn't a huge move. But we got into a bigger property. So excellent. One of the features of the property was that from the dining room to the kitchen was a small step. Only about 4 or 6 inches. The only reason I can think of is maybe because it was a Victorian house, if any of the plumbing leaks, that kind of thing, it would only flood that one room and not the entire property. That's the only thing I can think of. But it had a small step. So, time moves on, my sister goes from screaming to bawling to crawling. So a baby gate goes across, as you would. Now, this time, my sister's preschool and I'm 5 years older, so junior school, and I'm an adventurer. I'm climbing the mountain. So I decide one day that I'm going to climb this baby gate. Now, me being 6, 7, about that age, this baby gate comes up to my hips. So it's quite high. It's quite high. So, never feared. I'm going to do this. Hold on to the baby gate. My leg goes over, but it's at my hips. So I've just managed to straddle this baby gate, and I'm here on my tiptoes, just there, ready to go. Just one little push, and I'll seesaw over to the other side, and there's the step. Beyond the point of no return. Gravity takes over. Because this is so high, I'm on my tiptoes. Foot touches down this side, collapses, goes down. Forehead, kitchen counter, face plant the floor. Yes. As a parent, I've come to realise that there's 3 tiers of screaming. Tier 1 is anger. Give me my toy. And normally it's just like, play nicely from the parents. Tier 2 is, ow, I've stubbed my toe. We hear that quite a lot, even in this environment. I've stubbed my toe. Tier 3 is in a league of its own. Tier 3 needs a focusing of power. Tier 3 needs that pause between and scream. That moment when it's the building. It needs a holding of breath, that focusing of intensity, the moulding of a sound that's going to encompass emotion, pain, injustice, and need for resolution. A tier 3 scream will get an adult out of a chair to full speed so quickly that Usain Bolt would raise an eyebrow. A tier 3 scream will get an adult to the child so fast that if you were a professional athlete, you'd be given a cup to then give a sample to see what you were actually on. Anyway, back to the story, yeah? A full-on Tier 3 scream. Full-on. As all adventurers, I'm wearing a hat. Indiana Jones, I'm wearing a hat. Hat comes off. I start shaking my head. It's hurting. This is tier 3, scream-worthy. I'm shaking my head. No pain, no pain. The cut on the forehead starts to bleed. Psalm 78, he brought streams out of a rocky crag and made water flow down like rivers. Context people, that's not actually what it means, I'm not sure about my forehead. But yeah, and back then it wasn't quite so rocky crag, that's life that's done that. So the bleeding and the shaking of my head is turning the kitchen into New Age art. So by this time, my parents are in the room, and they're seeing carnage. There's carnage everywhere. And expecting the worst, my father, a man of authority, stop. Examine the wound, a trip to A&E and 5 stitches. Why do head wounds bleed so much? Just 5 stitches later, I've got a permanent memento. So, the wound has healed, but it is a permanent memento from what I learned from that incident. Okay? So, what have I learned? And it's evolved over time. As a child, don't go climbing over gates, it's a bit silly. Moving on, it's gone to, I must admit, it's a hesitation to be impulsive. It's moved on more to, I have to have a plan to see where it's going. Has that stopped me from stepping out when I should? Quite possibly. Quite possibly. But it's a journey that I'm on. It's a journey that we're all on. These things can hold us back. These things, it's an enabler. Doing this has revealed what this has actually done to me, done to my psyche, done to my personality. It's something I'm going to need to work on. In 2010, I got knocked off my motorbike. I was on my way home. I used to work in Romford, so if everyone knows Gallows Corner Roundabout at rush hour, that's you're quite brave to do that anyway. But coming home from work around Gallows Corner Roundabout, just doing the right to come up the 127 to come home, just as I've come round past the A12, van assumes that I'm invisible, straight out, T-bones me. It's basically, it was quite serious. Yeah, it was quite serious. It broke my leg and ankle in multiple places, about 8 places, I think. It was so severe that when Charlie called the A&E, because of course Charlie was here in Basildon and I was in Romford, when Charlie called the A&E, instead of putting Charlie on hold, they just put their hand over the telephone and says, "Has anyone seen the motorbike fatality?" That probably wasn't a really nice experience whatsoever. But yes, no, luckily it wasn't a fatality, it was a squish. I spent 3 months off work in a leg cast, which that's a pain. If anyone's broken a limb and been in a cast, yes, I know you have all quite a lot of casts. It's awkward, it's a pain. You put the leg or the limb up, the swelling goes down, your limb moves around inside the cast, and it's so uncomfortable. So you put it down, it starts to swell again, and the cast then compresses it, and it's so uncomfortable. So it's literally up, down, up, down, up, down, for 3 months. I then developed potentially fatal blood clots. I don't know if people have heard of DVT, deep vein thrombosis. Developed those, and I was on medication to get rid of those. We're all clear now, thanks, praise to God. But yeah, with all that time off work, so it's 3 months off work, all that time off work with no stress, the only thing I really needed to worry about was what time Top Gear was on Dave TV. Top Gear reruns. I think for 3 months I could almost quote them and know what time I should watch what channel. All that stress, gone. Yeah, for 3 months. Because I'd been at work for a long number of years, they paid sick pay for an extended period of time. So 3 months, didn't have any worries. There was no worries about money, no worries about going out. It was great, I hate to say it. It was great. So mentally, had calmed down, chilled out. Physically, I'm not really going anywhere apart from crutches. And so everything had just calmed down. That's when Charlie fell pregnant with Marcus. There is a positivity there. In Romans 8:28, and we know that in all things, God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose. I hadn't been given my life yet. However, with Charlie falling pregnant, we've been trying for a number of years. Charlie falling pregnant and my son coming along, it started a change in me. So in 2013, I gave my life. Yeah? And part of my testimony and the crux of why I gave my life was the amount of stupid stuff I used to do in vehicles, and that accident on the motorbike, which so easily could have been a fatality. The Lord had been with me, sustaining me, keeping me, looking after me, been behind me and holding me up. And I didn't know anything about Him. Even when I didn't know Him, He was there. The realisation of that was it. There was nothing else. There was nothing else I could do. He'd been covering me with protection when I didn't know Him, so that was it. Lord, you've got me. Now, the wounds from that accident are healed, other than a little bit of swelling, etc. The scar is a constant reminder of the Lord's grace, protection, blessings, and the journey that I'm on now. At the beginning of today's message, I read out some examples of what a scar is. And one of them was any blemish remaining as a trace of or resulting from injury or use. The plot of land at the back of church. We used it to start the extension. We can see where we opened the ground, started digging, putting the footings in. Therefore, by definition, the extension is a scar on the land. So the extension was started a number of years ago, but we hit a few legal issues with restricted covenants, that kind of stuff, and it's got to a point and stopped. And it's almost remained in spaces ever since. Maybe it was an idea too big for our pockets, just an unfinished project. No, not at all. The extension is not something that is holding us back. It is a badge of honour. It's a testimony that as a church, we stepped out in faith. We didn't have the finances in place, yet we stepped out in faith. We started the building. It was God's timing. He wanted the building because there was things we needed to understand. The restricted covenant, the season of financial issues that we've come through and come out of. So it was stopped. Now I've walked past that extension for years, yeah, since it's been up there, and I've looked at it and thinking, oh, if only we could finish that. If only. I've looked at it, but I didn't see it for what it was. It's been a number of years it's been up there, and next time you're out there, I want you to look and see it for what it actually is. Physically there. It is a firm foundation with God as the cornerstone and a framework for us to build on for whatever our ministry needs. And that's what's there physically. It took a number of years before I saw it, but when I saw that about 10 days ago, it was, wow, it's been there for a number of years. A firm foundation with God as the cornerstone and a framework for us to build on for whatever our ministry needs. Matthew 28:19, very famous. Therefore, go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. So what's that mean? What does that look like practically? First things, look outward. Step out in faith and look what you receive. A firm foundation with God as the cornerstone and a framework to build to for whatever your ministry needs. The scars you have do not define you. The scars you have are part of your story. They're part of your testimony. Your testimony is what is going to help a broken generation. Your testimony is going to build up each other. Your testimony is everything. This is why we have testimony time, to encourage, to lift up. As iron sharpens iron, so it says one man sharpens another, but yes, we sharpen one another. Your testimony is everything. Your scar, they're a badge of honour. This town is broken. It's lost. It's crippled by the chains of the enemy, being held back. Wounds are constantly being reopened so that scars cannot form. The immediacy of these wounds are never going to allow this town to heal, to learn. Have the worship, please. There's also many people in this room that are holding on to the hurts of past wounds, even though scars have formed. There's people in this room who have wounds that scars have not formed yet. We're human. These things happen. The remedy has always been with the cross. Bring your hurts, your chains, the stuff that's holding you back, and you take it to the cross. The victory has already been won. It's already been won. By His stripes we're healed. It's finished. Your wounds will become scars. Your scars are your story, and your story will heal the broken. How many people are out there that are suffering from the same things that we have gone through, come out the other side with the Lord, the scars have formed, and we can help, we can assist. The building is a visual representation of our journey to healing and a guide to lifting others up into the richness of their potential. It's a reminder. And now this lesson's been seen, I don't think that building, in fact we can pray for that building to be completed very soon. Step out in faith and you will receive a firm foundation with God as the cornerstone and a framework to build to for whatever your ministry needs, and then build unto others a firm foundation with God as the cornerstone and a framework to build to for whatever their ministry needs. There's people here wounded. There's people here who need help. There's people here who've gone through it, have the scars, and can help. Not just in here, but in our town. It's something that we are extremely passionate about, our town. What I'd like to do, if you are hurt, if you are wounded, please come on up, come join us, and we are going to pray for everyone. Life comes along, life will deal us a wound. Life will deal us a wound. It's only when we drop it at the cross that we will then know healing. It's only when we drop it at the cross, this healing will then turn that wound into a scar. This scar will then help us, help a nation. All those who have wounds, just come up. Don't be frightened. We are all going to pray for everyone with wounds. We're going to pray for healing. If you need healing, just come on up. We're going to do something amazing here today. People have just come up to the front. They have stepped out. They have stepped out in faith. And they're going to receive every blessing that they want. Church, I want you to bow your heads. I want you to point your hands towards these people, because we are going to pray for these. We are going to lift them up. We are going to provide them with the power of prayer, and through prayer anything can happen. Through prayer we are going to get these people healed. We are going to turn these wounds into scars. We're going to turn these hurts. We're going to turn the chains that hold them back. We're going to turn them into something that's amazing. We're going to turn them into something that is going to have a profound effect on this town. So church, join with me. Lord, these people who have stepped forward, these people who are just submitting to you, they have hurts, they have chains that are holding them back. There is stuff that needs to be moved on. So we just lay it all at the cross here and now. We ask you, Lord, that by your stripes you will heal these people, and you will put these wounds, turn them to scars, and these scars will then be their story, their testimony, to empower, to lift up the next generation. We want to heal this town. It starts here. It starts now. So Lord, we come to you not with a beggar's bowl, but we come to you with expectation, and we declare that we will be healed by your name. We know this will happen. We have stepped out in faith. We have a firm foundation with God as the cornerstone and a framework that we can build whatever our ministry needs. And unto others we can then build. We shall be looking outward and we shall go, make disciples. But it starts here with healing.
This will be my story, this will be my song. My chains are broken, I am free. This will be my story, and this will be my song. I'll praise you, my Saviour, Jesus. It goes on to say, take my life, give me Jesus. Now with Jesus in our life, those wounds can be healed. Those wounds can become scars, as we heard about today. Just as we sing this song, let's just give all those hurts, the wounds that we may still be feeling to God.
Oh Lord, we just lift you up, lift you higher. You're an amazing, awesome, mighty God, and you can do anything. Nothing is impossible for you. When life comes along and deals us a wound, bring it to the cross. It will become a scar. It will become your story. And your story is the most powerful thing you have with your faith. Your story will lift you, will lift your brothers and sisters, will lift this town out of where it has become. If you feel you need to talk to one of your brothers and sisters, please do. Because as I say, as iron sharpens iron, we can lift you up. We can lift you up. We can help heal these hurts. And together we can step out into the richness of the potential that we have, the richness of His plans. Nothing is too difficult for our Lord. Nothing whatsoever. There's amazing things on the horizon. We just need to step into them. If we think greatness has happened just yet, it's nothing yet. There's so much more to come. So much more than we could dare to believe or imagine. All in His name.